You are using your Radtel or Baofeng radio completely wrong, and it is probably killing your signal range right now. Most people take these radios out of the box and think they are ready to go, but the factory settings are actually holding you back. If you want to hear people from miles away instead of just hearing static, you need to change these hidden menus immediately. I am going to show you the advanced customization tricks that the manufacturers do not want you messing with because they are so powerful. Let's talk about the biggest problem, which is the squelch setting, because the default numbers are almost always broken. On most Baofeng and Radtel models, menu 0 is your squelch, but setting it to 5 does not actually do what you think it does. In the factory software, the difference between level 1 and level 9 is often so small that the radio stays open or stays totally silent. You need to jump into the chirp software on your computer to actually redefine what those numbers mean for your specific hardware. Imagine being out in the woods and missing a call from your friend because your squelch was set too high by a computer in a factory. By adjusting the service settings in the back end, you can make level 1 ultra-sensitive and level 9 a total fortress for your ears. Now let's look at the frequency step, because if this is wrong, you will never be exactly on the right channel for your local group. Most people leave this at 5 or 10, but if you are trying to hit specific repeaters, you might need 6.25. If you are off by even a tiny bit, your audio will sound like garbage and people will complain that you are breaking up constantly. Go to menu 1 and change that step frequency to match the specific band plan of the area where you are actually standing. Another huge mistake is leaving your radio on high power for every single conversation you have throughout the day. Menu 2 lets you swap between high and low power, and you should be using low power for about 90% of your chats. Using high power all the time generates massive heat inside the radio, which can actually damage the internal components over time. Plus, you are draining your battery 3 times faster than you need to, which is a nightmare if you are on a long hike. Switching to low power for close-range talk keeps your radio cool and keeps you on the air for the whole weekend. Have you ever noticed that annoying beep at the end of every transmission that makes everyone else on the frequency want to scream? That is the Roger beep found in menu 39, and you should turn it off immediately if you want to be a professional operator. It sounds like a toy, and it actually cuts off the beginning of the next person's sentence if they reply to you too quickly. But the real secret to advanced customization is unlocking the restricted frequency bands that your radio is actually capable of hitting. Many Radtel radios like the RT490 have hidden modes that you can only access by holding down specific buttons while you power them on. Try holding the PTT button and the number 8 key while turning the power knob, and you might see the screen flash into a new mode. This can unlock the airband for listening to planes, or even allow you to hear local emergency services that were blocked before. You also need to fix your battery saver settings in menu 3, because the default pulse rate is usually way too slow. If the saver is set too aggressive, you will actually miss the first 2 seconds of every message because the radio is basically asleep. Set your save mode to a 1:2 ratio so the radio wakes up fast enough to catch the very start of a call. While we are talking about speed, let's look at the timeout timer, which is menu number 9 on almost every single Chinese radio. The factory usually sets this to 60 seconds, which means if your mic gets stuck on, you will block the channel for a full minute. Set that timer to 30 seconds so you do not accidentally become the most hated person on the airwaves during an emergency. One of my favorite customization tricks is changing the dual watch setting in menu 7 to monitor 2 channels at the exact same time. This allows you to keep an ear on the local weather channel while still talking to your family on your primary frequency. It effectively turns your cheap radio into a high-end scanning device that works like a piece of gear, costing 5 times as much. If your screen is hard to read in the sunlight, you need to go to menu 21 and change the display mode from frequency to name. Using the Chirp software, you can label your channels with words like home or base or trail, so you do not have to memorize numbers. It makes the radio much easier for children or beginners to use because they just look for the word instead of a decimal point. You should also look at menu 14, which is the voice function that reads out your menu selections in a loud voice. While it is helpful for the visually impaired, most people find it incredibly distracting when they are trying to make a quick adjustment. Turning this off makes your radio much more discreet if you are using it in a quiet environment like a hunting blind or a quiet park. Finally, you must check your bandwidth setting in menu 5 to ensure you are on wide for GMRS or narrow for FRS frequencies. If you get this wrong, your voice will sound muffled and distorted to everyone else, which makes you look like a total amateur. Wideband allows for much richer audio quality, but it can bleed over into other channels if you are not careful about your local laws. Taking 10 minutes to go through these menus transforms a cheap plastic toy into a professional-grade communication tool for your kit. You will have better range and clearer audio, and your battery will last twice as long as the person who left theirs on factory settings. Once you have these internal settings dialed in, you are going to want to upgrade the physical hardware to get even more distance. Check out my next video on the screen right now to see which antennas actually work and which ones are a total waste of money.